Welcome students. In our chapter number 16, Reflection of Light, we have covered how to solve the problems in the earlier class. Today we are going to discuss answers to certain exercise questions. Okay, so out of that, first of all, we have fill up the blanks first of all. The perpendicular to the mirror at the point of incidence. What is perpendicular to the mirror at the point of incidence? You have to just write out the name. Very simple. This is the mirror. What is perpendicular at the point of incidence? Here we know that it is the normal. You find the line and the line. This is the mirror. This figure, time and again, we have to draw to understand the facts and note the proper answer. So the perpendicular to the mirror at the point of incidence is the normal. Second one, the reflection of light from a wooden surface is which type of reflection? Regular or irregular? You see, wood is a little rough, not smooth like granite, isn't it? So it's an irregular type of reflection that we see from the wooden surface. There are holes and ditches in the wooden surface. Okay, it's not going to be very smooth and shining. The third one, the working of kaleidoscope is based on the property of which property is being used in the kaleidoscope. Of course, reflection of light. Property of reflection of light is making a variety of designs in the kaleidoscope that we have seen while construction of kaleidoscope. Okay, then you have to draw a figure describing the following. The reflecting surface of two mirrors makes an angle of 90 degrees with each other. So what we have to draw here is, for question number 2, the reflecting surfaces of two mirrors. If this is one mirror and the another mirror, this is one mirror, this is your another mirror. They are kept at an angle of 90-degree angle. Okay? And if a ray incident on one mirror has an angle of incidence of say 30 degrees. Okay, on one of the mirror, if there is an incident ray that is falling on it at an angle of 30 degrees, in that case, what we have to draw is the ray reflected from the second mirror. So, ray reflected from the first mirror will also make an angle of 30 degrees. Okay, and when this reflected ray is going to fall on the another mirror, here you have to draw, then what will be the angle of reflection? In this case, this will be the incident ray for the second mirror. This is your first mirror, this is your second mirror. Okay, this is the incident ray which is making an angle of 30 degrees with the normal, and when it gets reflected from the first mirror, obviously 30-degree angle will be made by the reflected ray. This reflected ray is going to fall on the second mirror. When it falls on the second mirror, it will become the incident ray for the second mirror. It will make up an angle of 30 degrees with the normal, and the reflected ray will also be making an angle of 30 degrees from the second mirror. So everywhere you can see 30 degrees only will be formed. If you draw this with the help of geometry box, scale and D, you will get this proper angles, okay, that you have to draw. Third question, how will you explain the statement, we cannot see the objects in a dark room? Now, according to principle of reflection, we have seen that any object is visible only when some luminous object or light falls upon it and light is getting reflected from that object. Then and then only we can see that object. That reflected ray goes in our eyes, enters our eye lens, and we can have an image of the object on the retina, that is the inner part of our eye. So structure of eye is not part of your chapter, but still when on the back side of the eye, on the retina, inverted image is formed, that message goes to the brain and brain interprets the object that what it is, and we understand this, that this is a table, this is a book, isn't it? So, but in case of a dark room, what happens? There is no light that will be reflected from the object and that will enter our eye lens and reach the retina. So, in a dark room, we are unable to see objects because there is no light that is getting reflected from those objects. Okay. Fourth one, explain the difference between regular and irregular reflection of light. In earlier class only we have discussed. For regular reflection, you see all the rays are parallel to each other that are getting reflected. Rays are also parallel to each other. And we can see the object to be regular and shining surface. But in case of irregular surface, for example, a wooden surface or our roads on which you travel with your bicycle or any other vehicle, we know that the surface is having ditches and holes and it is not very smooth. So what happens? The light will be reflected in irregular manner. They will not be, all the rays will not be parallel to each other. So that difference you have to write down. Next, you have to draw a figure showing the following: incident ray, normal, then reflected ray, angle of incidence, angle of reflection, point of incidence. All these things you have to draw. Every class we have drawn this figure and we have to draw it again in our copy also. Okay. Question 6, you have to study one of the incident that is given to you. Two persons, Svara and Yash, were looking in a water-filled vessel. They could see their images clearly in the still water. Still water means the water is not flowing. There are no movements in the water. In that case, when you observe, both of them were able to see each other, the images. Okay. At that instant, Yash threw a stone in the water. When a stone is put in the water, obviously waves are going to be created in water. Now their images became blur. Okay. And Svara could not understand the reason for the blurring of the image. The movement of the water created this movement of the image that was formed in water. So what we have to do is, you have to explain the reason for blurring of the images to Svara by answering the following questions. Is there a relation between the reflection of light and the blurring of the images? Obviously, yes. When the water was still, the rays coming from the images were directly entering their eyes and clear images were seen. But when stone was put in it, what happened? The water layers were in movement and the ray of reflection that were coming from the images were not straight. They became zigzag, and that's why the image became blur. Okay, which type of reflection of light can you notice from this? It is second type of reflection. Again, the image were reflecting the light, and that same image that as we see in the mirror, the images are formed behind the mirror, and rays coming from those images we can observe us in the mirror. Similar type of image was formed in the water that Swara and Yash were observing. Okay. Third is, are laws of reflection followed in these type of reflection? Obviously, yes. Laws of reflection are followed there also. In this drawn figure also we have seen that angle of reflection and angle of incidence are always equal. Here also the law was followed, isn't it? And all the three, incident ray, normal and reflected ray, lied in the same plane. Next, you had certain problems that is being to be solved. In first problem, if the angle between the plane mirror and the incident ray is 40 degree, what are the angle of incidence and reflection? Now, between the mirror and the incident ray is 40 degrees. So, the incident angle of incidence will be, that is between the normal and the incident ray, the angle will be 90 minus 40, isn't it? That's going to be 50. And if angle of incidence is 50, angle of reflection is also going to be 50. Here you see what they are telling in this problem. This angle is 40 degree. So angle I, if I want to find out, will be equal to 90, because normal is always at 90 degree minus 40 degree. That will give you 50 degrees. And angle I is always equal to angle R. Therefore, angle R is also 40 degrees. So that's a simple problem that you can solve very easily. Second one, if the angle between the mirror and reflected ray is 23 degree, what is the angle of incidence of the incident ray? Now you see in the second problem, they have told you that this was the first problem of your question number 7. For question number 7, second problem, what they are telling that angle of reflection is forming 23 degree angle with the mirror. This is the mirror. So 23 degree this. So normal is here. So 90 minus 23 will be your angle of reflection. Okay, and angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. Therefore, angle of incidence is also going to be 90 minus 23. Okay. That is 67 degrees. That answer also we got. And I want you all to write down all these answers in your fair copy along with the problem solutions. Okay. I shall send you the questions as well as certain regular, irregular reflection pictures on your group. So you can observe that and write down the answers in the fair copy. Okay. So by all of you, complete your copy on time.